Hello and good evening, everyone. I hope you all are keeping safe and healthy during these times. Today on the call, I'm joined by Mr. Ishan Bector, Whole-Time Director, Mr. Suvir Bector, Whole-Time Director, Mr. Praveen Goyal, Whole-Time Director and CFO of the company, Mr. Nitesh Kotian, National Sales Director for Biscuits, Domestic, Mr. Rajiv Dubey, National Sales Director, Breads, and Mr. Gurpreet Singh, Chief Medical Marketing Officer. We have uploaded our investor deck and results, highlights on the stock exchanges and the company website. I hope everybody had an opportunity to go through the same. Post the lockdowns in April and May 2021, the company has then done well in all segments. Overcoming challenges, the company recorded 8% growth in revenues with accelerated growth in the bakery segment, retail as well as institutional. Coming to segment-wise performance, in the retail biscuit segment, the company has grown compared to the first quarter of the year. As compared to the last year, the company has seen a degrowth in this segment. This is mainly due to the accelerated increase in the sale of biscuits to retail customers in the first half of H1 FY21, as there was pantry loading and limited availability due to supply chain crisis during COVID lockdown in last year. Considering H1 FY20 as the base year, the company has grown in high single digits over the past 2 years in the retail biscuit segment. We have seen new geographies doing well. Also, the company launched non-stop potato crackers, which has seen good traction across the country. As a strategy going forward, we are expanding the sales of our biscuits by emphasizing on introducing and marketing our premium biscuits, increasing our market share by increasing brand awareness through digital channels, and building visibility in retail stores through in-store branding activities. The company has invested rupees 62 crores on additional lines for breads and buns separately at Greater Noida facility. These lines have become operational since October 2021, and we expect benefits from the same from December 2021 onwards. The company has also started investments on the another biscuit line from the IPO proceeds at Rajpura and is expected to start commercial production from April 2022. Our exports of biscuits has grown continuously. We have seen robust double-digit growth during H1 FY22. We are one of the leading exporters of biscuits from India. 50% of the exports are under our own brand, Cremica. Our focus is to increase penetration in select export markets like South Central North America, MENA region, Australia, Asia, and increase premiumization of our products there. We have already set up a subsidiary in UAE to cater to the MENA and the African markets. Coming to the bakery division, retail bakery has grown in double digits with continuous focus on increasing distribution and premiumization of our products. During the quarter, the company launched the whole wheat buns, which help create a cafe-like experience at home. During this quarter, the company has purchased land in Khopoli, Mumbai, adjacent to the existing factory for expansion of our bakery business. This expansion will help us with the ever-increasing requirement of our bread in the Mumbai and the Pune region. We are one of the few bakery companies in India that can handle fresh, chilled, and frozen products, which enables the company to distribute its products across India with a focus on quality and consistency. The company aims to cater to a wide variety of retail customers by introducing new niche products, variants to our retail customers, such as sub bread, garlic bread, with a target to expand distribution network and increase penetration in Tier 1 and Tier 2 cities. We plan to focus more on digital marketing initiatives such as social media integration, influencer marketing, and content marketing. Our institutional bakery sales have nearly doubled from the last year due to a low base. With restaurants opening up for deliveries and dine-in, we have great momentum in this segment, and we expect this segment to grow faster. We are seeing good momentum in the modern trade and e-commerce segments too. We are introducing large and mid-sized packs of existing high-selling products based on buying patterns and regional preferences for sales through modern trade. We have started our brand promotions in various e-commerce channels for our biscuits and bakery products and are listed with leading e-commerce platforms in India. The company has invested rupees 6 crores on renewable solar energy in its plants at Rajpura, Philor, Taliwal, and Khopoli, and the same has been operationalized. We are also investing in rainwater harvesting. This will help reduce operational costs and improve margins going forward. In the first half of the year, we have taken a price increase and have been able to recover substantial part of the cost increase. The company is taking further price correction to offset the balance increased cost. We expect to complete this exercise substantially by end of December 2021. With a focus on premium products, cost optimization, and price correction, we expect to maintain our EBITDA margin guidance of 14 to 15% for FY22. Our biscuits are distributed across 22 states in India through a widespread network of 1150 super stockists and distributors, supplying to a wide range of customers through our retail and preferred outlets. We are continuously expanding our retail reach. Over the last year, our retail touchpoints are 550,000 touchpoints. Our direct touchpoints are around 200,000. We supply our bakery products to our customers through over 210 distributors and over 18,000 retail outlets. Coming to brand and marketing strategy, we have been marketing across channels to increase our brand awareness through advertising in print media, digital and outdoor promotional campaigns. We have entered into arrangements with our preferred retail outlets, which will help us in enhancing our brand visibility. Now coming to our results and our Q2 performance. Revenues stood at 256 crores versus 228 crores, registering a growth of 8% on a year-on-year basis. Revenues from biscuit segment have degrown by 3% to 148 crores as compared to 153 crores in Q2 FY21. Revenues from bakery segments have grown by 32% to 83 crores as compared to 63 crores in Q2 FY21. The company has seen increased price of raw materials, especially palm oil prices, packaging material prices, which has affected our gross margins. In the first half of the year, we have taken a price increase and have been able to recover part of the cost increase. The company is taking further price correction to offset the further increased cost. We expect the benefits of cost saving to come to the company by end of December 2021. With our focus on premium products, cost optimization and price correction, we expect to maintain our EBITDA margin guidance of 14 to 15% for FY22. Our EBITDA margins for the quarter stood at 35 crores versus 38 crores in Q2 FY21. Our EBITDA margins for the quarter stood at 14.1%. Profit after tax for the quarter stood at 18 crores versus 23 crores in Q2 FY21. PAT margins for the quarter stood at 7.3%. I would like to mention the main reason for reduction in PAT as compared to last year is due to the entry tax provision reversal in the last year amounting to 5.5 crores. Now coming to our half-yearly performance, revenues stood at 473 crores versus 431 crores, registering a growth of 10% on a year-on-year basis. Revenues from biscuit segment have remained flat at 293 crores as compared to 294 crores in H1 FY21. Revenues from bakery segment have grown by 34% to rupees 152 crores as compared to 113 crores in H1 FY21. Our EBITDA margin for the quarter stood at 64 crores versus 72 crores in H2 FY21. Our EBITDA margins for the half year stood at 13.5%. Profit after tax for the quarter stood at rupees 31 crores versus 39 crores in H1 FY21. PAT margins for the half year stood at 6.7%. Net debt is 39 crores and net debt to equity is at 0.09. Working capital days is at 34 days as on 30th September 2021. With this, I would request to open the floor for questions and answers. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. We will now begin the question and answer session. Anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and one on the touchtone telephone. If you wish to remove yourself from the question queue, you may press star and two. Participants are requested to use handsets while asking a question. Ladies and gentlemen, we will wait for a moment while the question queue assembles. The first question is from the line of Percy Panthaki from IIFL. Please go ahead.
Hi, sir. If you can give us some idea on the total amount of capex you will do in FY22 and 23, and also the breakup of that capex by purpose or plan.
Yeah. So our first capex, which was, which we had been working on and our project had got delayed. This was the bakery project, which was estimated at around 70 crores. Has already gone on stream. The breads have been rolled out, the buns have been rolled out of this plant. And like I mentioned in my speech, the complete benefits of this line will start coming into us by, December this year. And it is a fully automated line. This is one of the most modern bread lines in the country today. And so this was the investment which was actually done last year but had got delayed, and the results are going to come in now. For the current year, we have also initiated as per our IPO. We shall be investing around 40 crores of rupees in a bread plant a biscuit plant in Rajpura, which is already, in line with our investments going forward. So in the next year, in the next year, we are now looking at, as I had mentioned, to put up a bread line, because the demand for breads is very extremely high for our Mumbai and Pune area. And we're looking at putting up a very modern bakery facility for which land has already been acquired. And the process will take around 15 months, and I think we shall be operational by April 2023. And in regard to the biscuit side, we are yet...
bread plant in Mumbai, Pune, what would be the capex for that?
So we are yet working out, because it's quite we are still in talking terms with our suppliers, but this should be anywhere approximately, this is just an approximate figure, which anywhere between a 50 crores to a 60 crores investment that could come in Mumbai.
Okay.
Yeah.
So total capex for FY22, should I be...
No, FY22 is only 40 crores, which is now going to be coming in by, and should be closing in by March or April this year, because we are targeting the line to start by April, in the coming year.
And any maintenance CapEx or any other type of CapEx apart from this 40 crore this year?
Yeah, there is this solar investment which I mentioned, 6 crores of rupees, which has already started, and we are targeting, we are in fact visualizing because the solar savings are immensely high, and we are looking at to further see that all our companies during the daytime can run on solar power because the paybacks are extremely fast and, very, very for very long time. And so that is being worked out. But currently there's no major investment which is other than the biscuit line which is coming up in this year.
Okay. And FY23, this bread line in Bombay, and anything apart from that for FY23?
Yeah, could be. We might be, like I had mentioned, we would need a biscuit line. So that is still under consideration, and we are considering our business plans. We might, like what we had mentioned during our IPO, Indore is the place where, we would be targeting a line coming in the next year. And for that, investment is again getting visualized because there have been, to determine exactly what we should invest in that market, for that market. So we will be able to come back to you shortly on that investment.
Okay, understood. Second question, sir, in terms of your top-line targets, I think earlier we were targeting our overall company-level sales growth of 15% for FY22.
Yeah.
But looking at first half, I think that might be difficult to achieve. So any thoughts on what kind of growth you will be looking at for FY22 and then also for FY23?
Yeah, so our FY23 numbers are going to stand where they are. There's no change in that. And we, in fact, I would like to mention that the company after the IPO, has brought in a lot of new team members into building a very, very strong team in the organization. So we brought in Mr. Nitesh Kotian, who's also part of the team, and, in case to any question in regard to sales, he'll be happy to take over and answer them. So there have been a lot of strategy changes. We have gone through the first 3 months under COVID, where our sales got lost. So you would have seen better sales coming in this year. So there is a lot of strategy change what Nitesh is bringing into the system. A lot of direct selling is happening. I think he would be able to answer on this better. But effectively, for the next year, our sales targets remain the same. And for this year, the reflection is very clear that, our second quarter sales have been higher than the first quarter. And we are targeting a third and fourth quarter to be also be good quarters coming in.
Right. So just to jog my memory, sir, FY23, your growth targets were around 15% at an overall company level. Am I right in assuming that?
Yeah, Praveenji, would you be able to update everyone on the numbers?
Yes, sir, 14 to 15%, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, and this year I think it would be a little lower than that, right?
Yeah.
Okay, sir, that's all from me. Thanks and all the best.
Yeah.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Vinit Mehta from Sameeksha Capital. Please go ahead.
Yeah. Am I audible, sir?
Yeah, please.
Yeah. So first question I had on the domestic biscuit segment. So as you mentioned in the call and also the previous call that you hired new members and you have also expanded your distribution reach in the new geographical areas. So I wanted to understand what's the strategy going forward for the domestic biscuit segment to increase our sales, that is increasing our geography or increasing the products, and how has been the response for the new products and how has been the response in the new geographies?
Yeah. So, thank you for your question, but I'm going to ask Nitesh Kotian, who's now been with the company for last, I think, more than 2 months, that in case he can take over and, answer this question.
Thank you, boss. Good evening. So, So what we are going to do is, in the domestic business, the biggest intervention which we are going to do is to add the feet on street, which is the salesman. Currently, we have close to 336 salesmen which are going in the market and selling our product day in and day out. And we are, aiming to double this salesmen from 336 to 621 in the next year itself. And we'll keep increasing it as we start moving forward into new markets in the coming year. That is point number one. What also we are doing is we are targeting from a current outlet of 2 lakh direct reach to a 3 lakh outlets in the coming year. So that incremental 1 lakh outlet is something which we will try to build our direct distribution with the addition of the salesman and also in the new geographies. Emerging markets is going to be one of the key, strategy by which we are going to increase our sales. So in next year, we are going to open up West and South. So we are targeting to, launch Cremica in almost all the 5 lakh plus towns in the West and South, and targeting around close to 50,000-60,000 outlets in the domestic market, GT market in this area. Modern trade is also going to be a very big pillar or a channel by which we are going to increase our sales. Currently, modern trade, we are well established in the north area. We have already started to engage with all the accounts and opening up new geographies in the south and west. We are continuously launching new super value packs, which is doing very well in this account. And that is how we will start developing the modern trade and the e-commerce business.
Okay, thank you. And my second question was regarding our gross margins and the EBITDA margins. So our gross margins have declined by around 3.5%, but the impact on the EBITDA has not been that much. So which are the costs that we have rationalized, and how much of that is permanent in nature?
So effectively, what we are targeting this year is a 14 to 15%, and our targets for the next year, will remain what they are. And what our main consideration has been that, under the present crisis, where we have already seen other players who are in the FMCG business, seeing the impact of palm oil has been extremely high. We have never seen this sort of inflation coming into our company for the last 7-8 years. And so it was a journey which was very tough for the whole 6 months. We have been working on various options, cutting costs, and also trying to, build in a price rise, which we have been doing ever since this price rise has been happening. But there is always a time delay. In the biscuit side, there is always a delay, or any FMCG company, there is always a time delay, which takes time for the products to, get a price rise or a weight reduction. We have been able to, I think, get around 50% of our price impact, which has come up to us till now. We have been able to recover that from the market without price increases. We are now in our second phase of price increase, which we are expecting to be completed by December 31st. So if both these things are done, I think we shall be going back to our normal, EBITDA levels, which are going to be sustainable going forward. And also, while the journey is tough, we have worked on cost efficiencies. We worked on getting more efficiencies in our plants, running our plants better, more efficiently, taking off losses wherever we can. So, all those things have been able to assist the company. And these, out of the cost, there would be majority of the costs which are going to be sustainable, because that is the new learning which we have with us. So those, I think, this is the way, which is going to be there in future. And we are looking at, surely, once the cost impacts have been taken care of in the raw material side, I think better times are going to be there for our company.
Okay. And my last question was regarding the Mumbai plant that you talked about. So how much is the expected capacity in terms of revenue on the new plant?
Ishan, can you take this question, please?
Yeah. So for us, like the managing director said, that we are looking at 2023 for this line to come up. What we are essentially going to be looking at is putting up a fully automatic bread line, which can produce anywhere between 80,000 to 120,000 breads a day. So we are still working out the details, and we are also going to be, doing some upgrades to our existing plant, which will not at a very significant cost give us an additional capacity to produce about 18 to 20,000 or let me say 3 to 4,000 packets of various other bakery items per day as well.
How much will be in terms of revenue, sir?
So you can multiply 120,000 by 25 rupees. That's today's. Prashant, what is the realization for Mumbai?
Yeah, I'll just get back to you in a minute.
So it will be anywhere between 80 crores or 90 crores. I think that's what our feeling is.
Okay, 80 to 90 crores.
Yeah. So the benefits of the automated bread line are that this does not need too many people to work for. And it's only 3 to 5 people which run the complete line and per shift. And that's the benefit. And the bread quality is much superior, can command premium in the market. So under the normal circumstances, we started Mumbai with an Indian plant. Our bread has been very well accepted in the market. Now time has come to graduate and give our customers a much better experience than before. And that is the reason why this larger investment, and then line from Europe is being discussed, and we shall be closing very shortly, but it's not yet closed yet.
Yeah,
so it's about 150 crores.
150 crores.
Yeah.
Okay, so 3 times acceptance roundabout.
Yeah. See, you cannot, let me correct you, please do not take a multiple as, because in this the losses are very much minimal. Extra weight does not go into the bread. Today everything is so expensive. Giving anything extra, over and above the 400 gram bread, which Indian plants are doing because, which is, they cannot manage. So it is, I think going forward, we will be seeing most of the companies would need to get into these sort of investments only. And so that is the way forward, because very, very, very low labor costs are there in this plant.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Harit Kapoor from Investec. Please go ahead.
Yeah, good evening. So the first question was, on the biscuit distribution side, so we're currently at about 550,000 outlets. Just wanted to know, at an aggregate level, what's the expansion on the distribution side expected this year and the next? How are we looking at it? If Nitesh can take that up, please.
So, Harit, I will take your question first, and then I'll ask Nitesh to take over.
Sure.
So what has been, there has been a complete changeover in our strategy. Nitesh has joined us. His previous experiences have been, with a very long experience, has been with Britannia. And he's worked in the toughest of markets of West India, where Parle was very, very strong. So there has been a change in strategy where we are adding up a lot of team at the operation levels, at the market level, right? And there is a work which is happening on adding 300 plus people, which Nitesh can. That this is in the first year. So year by year, we are going to be adding people. Now these people are not going to be on company roles. They are actually going to be ADSR, which means they are distributors people. So it will be the distributor who will have to keep our people. So, earlier we were employing our people on our roles, but now, as most of the FMCG companies do, we are following that process, and that is the journey that, to add more retail outlets in the market, to create more demand into the market, to create more demand for our premium products, we need to increase workforce at the market level. And going forward, I'm now in regard to what our expectations are, I will request Mitesh to take over, and in case he can, let you know what his expectations are.
Sure. Okay. Good evening. So, like I mentioned earlier also, what we are now targeting is to increase our feet on street, which is salesmen. So, as rightly mentioned by MD, we currently have close to 336 odd people going on daily in, day out in the market and selling our products. And we are targeting it to double by next year to close to 600 odd people. That is point number one. In terms of distribution, while 5 lakh outlets is our coverage, we directly, cover 2 lakh outlets, which is directly covered through our salesmen. And we are looking at increasing it to 3 lakhs by the next year itself. That is on the markets where we are currently present. We are also opening up West and South. That will happen. And in this West and South, we will initially plan to launch in all the 5 lakh plus towns, and anything expected around 50 to 60,000 outlets coming from there. So the distribution strategy is very clear. Get the right people on the ground, increase from 100 outlets in your core market, launch your product in West and South, and take your distribution another 50, 60,000 in the initial stage. So somewhere around 150 outlets coming in the next year.
So let me take this forward by saying that what Mitesh is planning is to increase direct coverage, right? So the indirect coverage, what AC Nielsen is showing, will be much higher. So those numbers we'll wait and see. But what our targets are to increase our own distribution, that is what we are working on. But indirectly, the AC Nielsen, which is now at a 5 lakh plus, will further move up, because if 2 is showing 5.5, so addition of 1 will probably show another 2. So those numbers are, still we will not be able to visualize those numbers. But yes, what we are going to be doing is, we're going to see that our every shop is covered on a weekly or a bi-weekly basis, and we are penetrating each and every market in a proper manner. And also for South and West India, cities with 5 lakh population are where our, people will start working on distributors, super distributors. So, that is a plan. Now, this is a plan which will take us 1 year, so it's not going to be tomorrow. But yes, the journey has already started. It has been initiated. And in fact, I will also like to mention, we have further strengthened our HR team. We have brought in our CHRO, Mr. Sanjeev Dixit. He has joined us from Himalaya. So he was heading Himalaya International and has a very, very strong experience within the Indian in Indian companies also. So there's been a complete strengthening of our team. So along with the people, we have also brought in a chief digitalization officer. He's come to us, I think, I'm not sure, but I think he's come to us from Reckitt Benckiser. So, all those things now, the company is in a stage where a complete build-up of an infrastructure is being done to get a position on the ground, So that is what is happening, Haris.
Okay, Anjit. Very clear. Only one more question was on, the total quantum of pass-through on the pricing or grammage reduction side. At an overall level, how much would you require in terms of price increase or grammage reduction impact?
Yeah,
including December.
As of date, we expect a 10% cost increase which has come into the company,
Okay.
And we have been able to recover around the 5%. The next phase of, has already been planned. And I think we shall be, by December, and we shall be able to recover everything because of packaging, change in packaging, and also there have been certain other developments because now from April next year onwards, there was earlier a restriction where you could do only specific grammages after 10 rupees, product. So it could be 120 grams, 150 grams. So now it is going to be price per gram or a price per kilo, So you can make your packs, you can reduce your weight as and when you need to. So those are certain good things which will also come in to the company beyond April this year. But for us, I think substantial price rises would have happened. Yes, CSD is an area which, applications are being forwarded. It is a process of 6 months. So that will take 6 months. It doesn't happen before that. And otherwise, we will be able to recover most of our cost on the domestic side.
Got it, Anil. Thank you very much. That's it from me.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Vinod Malviya from Union Mutual Fund. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you for taking my question. So my question was on your export business. So, in your press release, you have said that the export business, the biscuit export business apparently has grown on a YOY basis. Now, a common commentary which has come from most of the export-oriented companies that the availability of container has been a major challenge. So just wanted to get a thought about your thought that how you are able to navigate this major challenge that the industry apparently has been faced. And if you can just give some details regarding, is it more the container issue has been more geography specific, or is it like any sort of a details on the container?
So Suvir handles our export side. I think he'll be able to update you better in more detail. Suvir, can you take it?
Hi. Yeah. So in regards to the containers, you're definitely correct that there has been a very big shortage and a drastic price increase. But what we have done as a company is that we've established really strong relations with a lot of the shipping lines. So we are working directly with Maersk, MSC, CMA, and Hapag, and we have contracts for across the globe with them. So we have, long-term contracts. So let's say for a North American territory, we are already booked for the year. So, and we get a fixed allocated space, which means that we will always every week get containers for our dispatches. So that's how we worked around it. So we booked it around 6 to 8 months back, and we're currently all secured.
Thank you, Suvir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. So you mean to say that you had done the booking for container almost 6 to 8 months back, and that has been the main advantage?
Yeah. So how you do it is that you give a forecast. So you take a forecast, you talk to your customers in regards to a monthly volume, and you communicate the same with the shippers as well. So based on that, we come into an agreement, and the freight as well as the container availability is blocked. So per week basis.
So another thing which Suvir you can mention is about the FOB and the CIF, because most of our sales are FOB, right?
Yeah. So for what we've done is that, so for example, if we had an existing CIF contract where we had taken the freight before the freight had risen, right? So we've converted all the clients into FOB, or we've done it as per the new agreed freight, the higher freight, which we've blocked already for the customers. So majority of our bookings are now based on FOB, where the customers are absorbing the freight.
Okay.
So, all the large customers, they prefer FOB because they are buying so many containers and they do contracts with large shipping lines, right? Their contractual powers are much bigger. So they prefer FOB, so which also suits us, So wherever there is a CIF, the price mechanism has been changed, and we have taken the price cost impact has been taken. But yes, there was a big issue which in container availability. It is now getting better.
Okay. And has this container issue been like more geography? So if you want to supply a material to Middle East and Africa, that was not a challenge, but a material, if you want to supply a container to America or Europe, that was a major challenge? Any geography specific issue which was there in the quarter?
So what was happening was that major volume where shippers were preferring to ship the volume was towards the American region because the rates were substantially higher over there and they were not preferring the Middle Eastern region. But like I said, that it really did not impact us because of our relations with the shippers and because of our contractual terms with them.
Okay. Yeah, that was helpful. Thank you. That's all from my side.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Harsha from InCred Capital. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi sir. Thank you for taking my question. Sir, I am trying to understand the biscuit margins for next year, given the rapid expansion plans which we have. Right. So the first thing is that will our current manufacturing facility in North service the West and South market, or are we planning to put up a facility even there? Because given the freight cost which will be involved if we use the North facilities, and I understand, I think that we might be also offering higher rebates to our distributors, to kind of establish our brand in West and South. And secondly, also when we're planning to increase our direct reach, it comes at a cost, right? So since we have this ambitious target of, adding 50% more outlets, and thirdly, since if we're talking about having the new salesmen, the new FOS on the distributor payroll, so what will be the distributor ROI be? Will it be in the same range? Will it come down? So I'm trying to kind of understand how the margins will look, over the next 1 year.
Yeah, truly good. I think this is a very detailed question, but wherever I missed out your question, you might have to ask me again, yeah. And between me and Nitesh, we are going to answer your question. Firstly, you're absolutely right. When you supply your biscuits from a far-off destination, the shipping cost is going to be much higher. That is totally right. But what we are doing is, we have a whole list of SKUs. So what we are doing is, we are planning out what are the SKUs and at what price we will be selling to the markets in West and South India. So because we as a company have a lot of premium, biscuits, which normally every factory does not produce in every state. So a premium biscuit is normally, even by large companies, will be produced only in specific countries and shipped out because, it's very important because the plants which you require for premium products are very different and parameters are very different. So what we are doing is we are making a plan on what are the biscuits which are going to be going down south or in the western regions. Yes, to offset this, like I mentioned earlier, there is even during our IPO, we have been talking to each and every investor and telling them there is a plan to put up a plant by next year in Indore, which is center of India, will end of the day help us to cover up these markets in the central India, southern India or western India, because then the proximity to the market gets better. So that has already been planned, but yes, we need to start creating a market for the plant to run. And those costs we are very intelligently taking up and making it a low cost plan to launch these markets. We are it is going to be only 500,000 5 lakh towns and above, and we are taking care that we do not get hit on our margin side, that is for sure. Coming down to your people strength when you are working into the market, increasing people, yes, it is going to be a burden, but definitely the burden is much lesser because the cost of ADSRs are much lower. In fact, the going forward plan is normally companies do not need these many people as what we have kept on company rolls. They are on third party rolls, which is also a cheaper plan. So there is a complete transition of things of people down the line, happening, and this is being done to get more control of the market. In fact, all our DSRs, all our distributors are going to be on DMS. So this was not there till last year. I think Nitesh can also talk about DMS, how we can control our distributors' market, how we can efficiently, monitor him, his working. I think, Nitesh, over to you in case you can update give an update on the question on this subject.
Sure, sir. So good evening. I think right questions asked. I think MD sir has already answered it, but let me just again re-emphasize this. So first of all, as MD sir said, that most of our employees right now, out of the 336 who are in the field, are at the company payroll. And the moment you move down to ADSR, which is distributor payroll, it comes out close to 50% less cost. Point number one. Point number two, yes, will it impact my distributor's ROI? Yes, but we also work very closely with the distributor to ensure that the ROIs are maintained. And while we don't have, we look at it case to case basis. If at all our channel partners have an issue, we work very closely with them to ensure that their returns are healthy. Point number one. Point number two, in terms of in the new markets and especially in DMS, what we are doing is in the last 3 months we have been able to put our distributor management software in 456 distributors. And by the year, we are targeting that all our 200 distributors will be starting using our own DMS. This will give us complete visibility in terms of what SKUs at an outlet level are getting sold, improve our premiumizations by targeting the right outlets through scientific database, data analytics, and try to improve our product mix and hence get better margins out of it. So in nutshell, this is a transition. We have just started the journey, and I will see how it goes. But I'm pretty confident that in the coming 1 year, we should be able to achieve this number.
Okay. Sir, thank you for the...
Also, another update on this, Nitesh, is as per, AC Nielsen, our volume sale from a shop is quite high. After the senior, the leaders, our sales are...
The person you are speaking with has put your call on hold. Please stay on the line. आप जिस व्यक्ति से बात कर रहे हैं...
Hello.
Yeah, sir. I can listen to you. Hello.
I have muted the line of Mr. Anup Bector as it was been placed on hold. Mr. Anup Bector, please go ahead. Your line is unmuted.
Now it's okay, right?
Yes.
Yeah, yes, sir.
Yeah, Devin, where was I? Can you please update me? I missed it, I think.
You were talking about the AC Nielsen.
Yeah, so as per AC Nielsen, our share on a particular shop sale is high. What is important is we have to increase our reach. So we were trying to increase our reach, but the only way forward for this is, people down the line. And our products are acceptable in the market. That is an important thing. And, we have seen this in modern trade. We have seen it in general trade. So whichever shop we are present, our biscuit sales from that particular shop is quite high. So, we do not envisage issues like that going forward because of the quality of the biscuit, acceptability of the biscuit. So, what our plan is, I think is very robust, very, very strong. And also going forward, the ADSR distributor actually costs very low. And there is no add-up cost every year. Now, when you have company role people, there are add-up costs every year. Every year there is a pay rise. So this doesn't happen with ADSR people because they do multiple responsibilities. They go into the market. They work for the distributor. So it's a better utilization of manpower down the line. So we are very bullish about it.
Okay, sir. Thank you for your elaborate answer. So, in a nutshell, assuming the palm remains where it is, so we are not expecting any significant pressure on biscuit margins, given the initiatives we are trying to undertake. Am I right, sir?
So there is a major exercise, where we have actually gone through each and every cost, each and every product, each and every SKU, and we have worked out on a strong plan on, on recovering the cost. So I think going forward, the company will be coming out stronger on recovering all costs. Yes.
Okay. Fine, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for your elaborate answer. Thank you.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, this was the last question for today. I would now like to hand the conference over to Mr. Ishan Bector for closing comments.
So thank you everyone for joining us. I hope we have been able to answer all your queries. In case you require any further details, you may please contact us or Mr. Deven Dhruva from Orient Capital, our investor relation partner. Thanking you so much.
Thank you. On behalf of